So thank you for joining me here at Welch Family Homestead. We're going to talk about the 3 ways to manage your pest organically in your garden on your plants. That's what we're going to be focused on today. 3 ways to manage your pest, the bugs that are going after your crops. How do you do that in an organic garden? What's the best way to do it? We're going to talk about the 3 major ways to do that today on the video. Thank you for joining me here at Welch Family Homestead. Please subscribe and stay tuned as I go through this with you. When you're growing organically, which I am, this is all being grown organically, that means we're growing clean. We're growing without the chemical infusion into our food source. In fact, your best organic store is in your backyard, and ours is in our garden. This is our organic store. So I wanted to touch base on how to manage the pests in your garden, especially if you're growing organically. Obviously, we can choose not to grow organically if that's your choice. That's not my choice. That could be your choice, but it's definitely not mine. And in this particular location in the garden where I'm at right now is my green beans. And my green beans are growing really, really well. There's no chemical fertilizers, there's no chemical pesticides, no chemical herbicides, and there's even weeds that I have to pull in between. In fact, this is a good example right here. As you can see, this is a ragweed that I'm pulling right here, and this ragweed is one of the fastest growing weeds that you can imagine here in the southeast. I mean, the western North Carolina mountains. I am holding you in my left hand, the camera in my left hand, and it's hot. I'm sweaty, and but I wanted to show you what it's like to do good pest control. Now, one of the most effective pest control methods that you can have is recognize what is actually attacking your plants. Now, this again is green beans. These are white half runners. They're on a wire system here, and as you can see, they're blooming really well, and they have some beautiful blooms on them, as you can see. So we're gonna have a lot of green beans off of these plants. I'm very happy with it, but you'll also see some damage. You'll notice the damage here on this leaf. You can see it on these leaves, and I'm not really heavily concerned with it because I know what it is, but I do want to manage it to a certain point. Now, I'm going to take you to show you what's causing the damage. What's causing the damage are these critters. It's called Japanese beetles. The Japanese beetles are always going to be on the plants doing their thing, and let me get you a good visual of these beetles. You can see sometimes they'll even be mating right here on the plant itself. But the damage they do is mostly to the leaves. So the best way to manage these beetles, and they're not going to be harmful to your hand to hold them or to pick them up. They don't sting. But the best way to manage the beetles is to capture them, is to grab them, just like I'm doing right here. Just like I'm doing right here. And I'm showing you how that I would capture them. I'd capture them, and then I'd put them into a bucket of water with some soap in it. Or if I want to feed them to my chickens, I'll put them in some type of container that I could put them down in, and to know for a fact that they would not escape until I fed them to the chickens. As you can see, it's very easy to grab hold of. Now, these are going to fly off, and I'll manage these at another time. I just want to do this video. But the greatest way to do your pest control, doing organic gardening, is to come through during the daytime and pull the Japanese beetles and other bugs from your plants. If you're not comfortable with holding them by your hand, get one of those little small vacuum cleaners and just suck them up. That makes a great tool in the garden. You know, or you can use gloves. That works as well. And at nighttime, there's certain bugs that will actually glow in a black light or in a UV light, ultraviolet light, and you can go around, especially on tomatoes, squash. There's certain types of worms and bugs that you can see better under those types of lights. That works as well. But going through your garden and depleting that population is important, because every one of these bugs that you let live have the potential of multiplying hundreds of times. And what they'll do is they'll lay their larvae, their eggs, down in the ground, and they'll make grubs. Now, what I do in pest control, I don't want to hurt my bees, because I do have a bee yard right on the upper end of my garden. So bees are bugs as well. So I don't want to put poisons out that are going to hurt human health or bug health, because poisons are not good for any of us. And if we put poisons out, we're potentially killing our bees as well. So we want to be careful with that. And so how do we manage that? And the way we manage that is I use diatomaceous earth, DE, diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth is just ground up shell. It's not a petrified, but a fossilized layer of earth. It's probably the second largest source of anything on earth other than water. So it's very plentiful, but it's ground up shell and fossilized shell. And as it's ground into powder, the microscopic view of that is like very abrasive to the insects. It also is like chalk. It's going to dry them out. And that's the way it kills the insects. It does it that way, but most of the time it doesn't affect the flying insects. However, the flying insects that are growing up out of the larvae into a flying insect, if that larvae is growing in the dirt, you can do like I do, put the diatomaceous earth on the ground below the plant where those larvae are going to be coming up out of the ground and turning into a beetle. Obviously that doesn't affect your bees, because your bees, they're laying their larvae in the hive, they're not laying it in the earth. But at the same time, the question would come up, does that affect other organic living creatures that could help your garden, such as earthworms? Earthworms are very important to your garden. And I would say no, that's not going to affect it. It's a very safe product around earthworms as well. And earthworms are important to your the ecosystem of your dirt. In this particular dirt that we have right here, I have biochar in the dirt to help hold that nutrition into the dirt, to release it into the plants. And if I were to put diatomaceous earth onto this soil, I would definitely do it just on the surface, maybe rub it into the underlying surface just a little bit. Earthworms are going to stay below that point. They're not going to come to the surface unless it's at night, and very few of them are going to come up right underneath the plant. It could happen, but it'd be very, very unlikely that you're going to affect the earthworm population that much. Earthworms also have a film, a slimy film on them, and that slimy film that's on them helps protect them from that diatomaceous earth powder as well. Diatomaceous earth is basically a silica. Again, it is a not petrified, but a fossilized layer of phytoplankton. It's just shell that is very abrasive. If you look at it under a microscope, you will see that how it works is it gets in the little crevices of an insect and it starts cutting into them slightly, and that allows the powder itself to help dry them out and basically dehydrate them. And so it's done without poison, done on a natural basis, natural way. You can actually take diatomaceous earth as a supplement, about a spoonful a day. I mean, it helps with gut health and also helps with the strengthening of your aortic valves and other things in your health. It's amazing what it will do. And these beans here are just now starting, actually starting to make beans. As you can see right here, we have some beans that are coming on the vines. And they come off the vines real easy. And I actually like beans this size. This is the best size for the best tasting beans. Those of you who like to eat green beans, you can understand why that when you have your own garden, you can pick them as young as you want to. Now, if you're picking them to sell, you may want a little more size to them. But when you're picking them to eat yourself, you may actually want them about this size. And we'll have a video on this later, another video. I'm sweating right now. That will help you to understand how to string beans, break beans, cook beans, and preserve beans. But we have in our garden here, our organic garden here at Welch Family Homestead. By the way, thank you for joining me here at Welch Family Homestead. I'm excited about the vegetables that we're going to be getting from the garden, and the joy of what it means to sit down at the table and know that everything that we're eating came from a seed, or came from our farm, and how much that we appreciate it and how thankful we are for it. So I'm very thankful that our green beans are doing so well. I don't see that the Japanese beetles are doing that much damage, but at the same time, I'm keeping their population down by hand picking them off of the vines as much as possible. Now, between that and the diatomaceous earth that we can put down at the base of many of the plants, I would suggest this: do not put the diatomaceous earth on the blooms of a plant, because your pollinators, whether it's the honeybees, which we have honeybees here, I want to protect my honeybees. I want to protect all honeybees, whether they're my honeybees or whether they're wild honeybees or honeybees that are coming to my garden from other people's honeybee farms. It's very important to protect the pollinators. It could be bumblebees are very good pollinators as well. Butterflies. We have a lot of bumblebees here in the southeast, and they make honey too, by the way. I don't know if you knew that or not, but if you dig up a bumblebee nest out of the dirt where they build down in the earth, they have some of the clearest, most beautiful honey, best tasting honey you could ever imagine is bumblebee honey. I don't know anyone who grows bumblebees from a hive, though. I don't think they can be tamed that well. But we're blessed with our own honeybees. You don't want to put diatomaceous earth on the flowers of a plant or the tassels, say, of corn. You see the corn in the background here. You don't want to put it on the tassels on the top, nor tassels on the ears of the corn, because that's where the pollinators are going to be doing their work as well. So be cautious of that, because diatomaceous earth will also destroy that pollinator, destroy that honeybee or that bumblebee or that butterfly or what have you. So protect your pollinators. Protect your pollinators. By the way, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to pick a few green beans for a mess. And I'm very excited about cooking some green beans that are tender out of our organic garden. And again, these are white half runners. And the best beans, in my opinion, to plant are these right here. These grow very, very well, very hefty, very hardy. And really, you can even plant a second phase of these green beans. I could plant right now and harvest again in October, but right now I'm going to have a good harvest within the next, from now until probably another 5 weeks of harvest out of this right here, as I keep picking it and keep staking it and keep pulling it. There's certain ways that you can get more out of your green beans, and we'll go over that in another video. Today I just want to talk to you about organically controlling your pests. So 3 ways to control your pests that I would focus on more than anything else. Get you some chickens, some guineas, that you can let run free range, let them go through parts of your garden at least that you know they're not going to be eating your vegetables, and allow those chickens and guineas to be your pest control. They're the best in the world at eating the bugs off of your plants. So take advantage of chickens. Chickens are great. Diatomaceous earth is also a great way to keep down the pest population on your plants. Also, go by and pick up the bugs off your plant by hand, put them in a bucket of water with a little bit of soap in it, and that will neutralize them, keep them from going anywhere. If you don't want to just pour them out or put them in a trash can later, I would suggest don't use the soap. Put them in a container that you can save those bugs to feed your chickens when you get back to your chicken yard. So anyway, God bless, and thank you for joining me here at Welch Family Homestead.